So now that we have access, we always want to stabilize the shell. So let us do what we always do. If we do this, (157 columns and 27 rows. We export the term like so. And then this is just a preference thing, but now with the export term, xterm, we can do control L like so. And with the last command, we get this cool color, right? That just makes it a lot easier to parse output. So yeah, and we have some valid credentials right here. So let's see. Let's just make sure that we have this saved, and then let's put it into the prevesc, and then we can try that right now. So show databases. Show tables. I want to see what's inside of here. So select everything from WP users. And we have, so we can try to crack this hash. So let's say hash. There's also a very nice tool that I like called gem install Haiti hash that I highly recommend. So we can do it in here. Haiti. So it believes that it's this type of password, so we can do John hash word list equals user share word list Rakia, and then let's see if it auto detects it. And yeah, it's a password we already have, right? So we're not interested in that. So we can, oops. User privileges. I don't see anything interesting here, so I doubt this is the way, but I just want to check that first. That's the first thing that we typically want to do. But yeah, so the next thing that I like to do is to go to temp as always. And then we can wget our IP. And by the way, you can click here for a quick copy paste. It is incredibly convenient. Limpiece sh. And then right here, I have Limpiece right here. but I can show you how to get it. You probably know this, but just in case. You pretty much just grab it from the release page right here. And then you copy this link. And then you doubly get it. And now you have limpist. That is basically all you need. So let us get that, and then let's get linenum for good measure. And then we could just do it like this. So now all of these are executable. So lin.log. So let's execute limpist and let us take a look at all of the output. And then as we go, I will grab it into the... I will grab the relevant information inside of there. If you really want to as well, you can also create a tool output where you copy paste all of it, but it won't keep the colors, so I prefer to do it like this for now. So let's just go through everything and see what we can find that's relevant. I'm pretty sure that limpist did the check or find those credentials that we just did in wconfig, but it's still a nice habit to do. Obviously, we had to authenticate to the MySQL service regardless to see if we can find any useful creds, and we did not. But it's a good thing to check first. So none of this is interesting to me. This is just AWS stuff, so not really relevant. We have some services running here. Let's see. Systemd. Jetty. The Apache 2 we saw earlier. Here's our shell. And then MySQL. Nothing super interesting so far. Here just telling us that there are ways to dump credentials if we have roots, but we don't have it, of course. I'm not finding too much interesting so far at least, but that's fine. We will note everything that we deem interesting. That's a nice part about doing it as well. You pretty much just have to do it once. You can of course redo if you're stuck, but so far I can pretty much ignore everything that I've seen so far because I'm not seeing something too interesting. Now this is kind of interesting. We can see that we have several interfaces. So yeah, that is definitely, is there more? No, it's just this. I will definitely note this because it's not the most typical necessarily. Several interfaces. And as you can see, my notes are not pretty, but it doesn't matter. The most important part is just to have the information and to parse it through. So yeah, we have some active listening ports here as well. Listening ports. This is also kind of interesting. Semi. we have anything with sudo l now? pkexec. I'll keep this in mind as well. I think there might be a possible public exploit or a kernel exploit, but kernel exploits are kind of like the last resort, in my opinion. Because boxes can get old, and therefore like new public exploits can root the machine, but that doesn't mean that it's the intended path, right? So I would say it's typically good practice to do kernel exploits as a very last resort. We see that there is a user called Aubriana, by the way. And we are currently www.data. I don't care too much, but maybe we have to access her in some way. As you can see, these tools create so much output. That's why you kind of like have to parse through the interesting stuff first. So yeah, there we go. This is the config file that we checked earlier, that we have already looked at. None of this is interesting, I think. MySQL user. What is this? PGP files? No. Searching uncommon password files. Don't think so. We have tmux running. Alright, so this is SERD binaries. So far all of this looks completely normal. We can keep in mind sudo version. None of this so far looks too interesting. And of course, if you're on Sharon, then you can always go to GTF opens, right? And just search up each binary one by one. We won't be doing that. It takes too much time. And I have a decent memory for this type of stuff. So the pkexec and sudo is handy, interesting, but not very interesting. I want to go through all of it. Okay, so all of this is quite normal. Capabilities. We have this capability right here. Capability, let's say. Basic dorking like this is very important. So we can see this one, but it's talk about general privilege escalation. It also mentions it. Raw user when paying. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna lead to anything, to be honest. So, okay, so you can if you have SEP, with this capability, then you can do some stuff. There. Okay, so this person has some obviously a lot more capability, so I'm pretty sure this one was unsure about, but yeah, this one does not look exploitable at all. I didn't think so, but I just wanted to double check this one. So far, really not a lot. This is PHP MyAdmin though. We already have access to, yeah, and it's running as www data. There's no point in this. Pretty sure there's no point in it at least, but let me just note it down, because why not? Probably not, but adding here. Så much output, huh? So these are files inside of home. We already have all of that. Huh? I think we're coming to an end. So these are the environment variables. Is there any interesting? This is the environment variable we set ourselves. Does not look like it at all. So let's say, was it var backups? We can't read that. Okay, so we don't really have much. Let's just go through the output again. So we can add some, you can hit F7 by the way, to do it like this if you prefer, but this is completely up to you. Alright, so this we went through, we cracked this hash, this is the password we already have, right, for the WordPress. I suppose one thing we can do is try password reuse to root, and yeah, that is not the case, but that's worth to test. So we have these interfaces right here, which I am definitely curious about. And yeah, we have these ports right here. Så SSL-10. So yeah, this is some type of web server that, let's say. So now I want to look at the processes running. Can I grab for 8080? Okay, so this is a Docker. Okay, and this is the IP. Yeah, alright. So this is the Docker on this interface, huh? And it has a website as well. So Okay. So yeah, I don't want to try to do it from here. I would like to access it from my own web browser, so we need to do some pivoting. So this will be cool. Now, what I like to do is that I like to use Chisel typically, Chisel GitHub. And yeah, it's also running under the context of root as well. So this is worthwhile to check out. Let's say Chisel. And then we go to releases right here. And then we grab this one right here. So wget gunstep chisel. So now we have that right there. Let's make it executable. Let me move it to just chisel like so. And if I run it like so, it has a server and a client feature. Okay. So we can grab the chisel binary like so. And then in the meantime, let me check my notes for chisel. So port forwarding tunneling. We can really do two different things here. We can do dynamic socks tunneling, which I would recommend for pivoting into different networks. It's very useful for AD. I have shown you it in different videos. And we can also, but you need to do proxy chains for it. But it will work in this scenario. It's typically more flexible and I tend to prefer it. Or you can port forward just a single port. So let's say we're only interested in the 880, we can do that. But I would like to show the socks tunneling because it's just more flexible, to be honest. So let us do that. So let's make it executable. And now we can run chisel client or IP 8081 R socks, I think it is. Yes, and the reason why it's put 8081 is because on let's say we're on the wrong box, so it's internal. Let's say that was the box I did earlier. So so we copy opt tools preves chisel. We copy it to this directory right here. And then we can run this chisel binary. And we can run it as a server on port 8081 in reverse mode. So what that will do is that it will open up a port for us on port 8081. And that's the port that we want to connect to as the chisel client. So when this connects, I'll run this in the background. You see that it's connected. And you can also see that session 1 has been established, listening. Now, one thing that I would advise you do is that you go to Etsy, proxy chains, and then you change this to port with 10,080, or at least that tends to be my preference. But then have it as socks file, that's important. So just make sure you change this and the rest is fine. And now we can prepend commands with proxy chains. And it will essentially allow us to access internal services. Because, let's say, so nmap the So it does not have 8080 rights, this would have shown. But it has port 8080 running right here. And we can forward this on our Kali machine so that through proxy chains on our own local host, we can actually reach it. Like so, see? So yeah, the moment I cut this one off and I try to connect again, it won't reach it. I establish the connection once more. It's connected. I can reach it, right? So the cool thing is that we can go to internal THM. Actually, we don't need that. So let me show you how to get access to it in the Fox Epoxy. Now, I can delete it to show you. So you pretty much just go here to options. And you go to proxies and you add a proxy. We can call this one proxy chains. The type is not HTTP. We want it to be a SOX5. Because remember, that is what we had in the... that is what we had in the proxy chain configuration file. Host name, we want it to be our local host. And then the port will be 1080 because that's where our SOX proxy is running. So now we can save that. And we connect to the proxy chains. And now if we go to 0001, we can actually see a Jenkins server running here as well, which is super cool. Now it has port 80 as well. And as you can see, we can actually see this. Because again, with the dynamic port forwarding through proxy chains, we get to forward a lot of different ports with a single port forwarding. Like you can do like this, right? It can be a bit quicker if you want to do brute forcing or scanning or something like this, and you know that you only want to do one port, but I just find this one to be very flexible. So yeah. Internal THM, port 8080, no wait, sorry, localhost. I'm confusing myself. There we go. So we have a Jenkins server. Also, I think admin is the default, but obviously it's no guarantee at all. It's taken some time to load. Shouldn't take that long. Admin? Yeah, that's not correct. What about admin password? It really is taking a lot longer than I would like. Test. Okay. So, yeah, there we go. I'm in root. Okay, now it seems more responsive. So, what I would like to do is that if you go to the web right here and search Jenkins default credentials, the funny part is that it won't resolve, we won't connect. Do you understand why? It's because we are tunneling the traffic through this host right here, through proxy chains, because we've configured it like so, right? So the traffic is coming from this host in a way. And the reason why we can't Google stuff is because if I try to crawl google.com, it hangs. Because these lab machines does not have access to the internet. So that's just kind of like a funny thing. So the second I turn this off, it will come from my Kali instance. and boom, instantly we can connect. So yeah, we don't seem to have that. So plus it's possible it's probably in the Docker container, which we don't have access to. That's what we're trying to get access to, right? The default user admin. So the default password, it seems, is admin, and then a random general password. Okay. So what we can do then is that we can do something like, so this is the post request. We can, whoops. I'm forgetting to do that. So we make a post request right here. And then we can see that it is running this thing right here. So let's just quickly Google it. See if there's any public exploits. We can do search exploit. Like so. Information disclosure, yeah, doesn't seem like it. So we know the default username. So let us try the default password. So the reason why I made that request is because now we can see in the request, and let's put it as a raw, we can actually see the payload being sent. And we can simulate this with different tools. Now, a nice tool for this is foff, in my opinion. So yeah, brute force login forms, exactly this. And yep, this is pretty much exactly what we need to do. Just have to modify it a bit, but that's fine. So it has an inbuilt proxy. Let's see, yeah, it has an inbuilt proxy mechanism, and you can also specify how the post request should look like. As you can see here, this is the post data right here, yes. So let us just copy that and modify it a bit. So we want to send this to not 10,000. We want to send it to 8080. And then we want to connect to port 8080. But through proxy chains on localhost 1080. And then, let's see, this post data is not like the one in my notes, so I need to change that. But that should be fine. Now, this might take some time, depending on if this is the right path, and depending if the creators of the box have a heart, and we need to wait long for the password. But regardless, this is how you would do it, nevertheless. So right here, we select fast, because that's a keyword. So when we write fast, all capital right here, it knows that it needs to inject the word list into this place, right? So this is a dynamic variable to some extent. But the rest right here is exactly fine. So let's see. The post request is also going to this endpoint right here. That I also need to make sure that I have. There we go. That is important. So, like so. And we can reduce the threads a bit, maybe like 30. Let's try this for now. Again, this might take a long while, but this should go through the proxy chains on this port. And also, another thing that I would like to mention, since this is a 401, that means that it's unauthorized, right? So I'm excluding the response, there we go. that already worked. So yeah, awesome. So I'm excluding the response type for a 1, because the response code for a 1, because if not, then I will just see a bunch of hits like this, which I'm not interested, right? So it's difficult to track this way, but yeah. So this is awesome. This worked on the first try. So let's see. The user was SpongeBob. So let's see. I don't know. I guess you can put it like this. Port forward and a Jenkins server hosted in Docker on port 8080. Brute forced it like so. And then admin SpongeBob. Awesome. So let's attempt connecting to it. Whoops. Fuck. I forgot to close that. We might have DOSed the server, which is not what I wanted. Ooh, this is not good. This is not good. Yeah, we might have DOSed the server, which is very unfortunate. So I will just pause until it gets back up again, or I will have to reset the box. So yeah. But you saw the methodology regardless, and that worked successfully. So the service went up and running again, so that is excellent. So if you're not familiar with Jenkins, there is actually a way to decently reliable get a shell. So let's see if we can do this. So let's see. Jenkins reverse valve. So the script console. So go to manage Jenkins and script console, and then add a Groovy script. So right now it seems that the server is not particularly responding. Yeah, it seems time at the moment. Either maybe the VPN is dying, or have to set up pivoting again. We can see that this job is running, so it really should be fine. We're listing the jobs. So we can kill this job by killing the ID. So we run jobs now, we see there's no jobs. And now it should be reconnected, so let's try again. And there we go. So, The tunnel was a bit messed up. So once again, what we're really interested here is pretty much the script console. But this server is once again very slow and unresponsive, which is a bit tedious. There we go. So this is the script console. So you see this is for Windows specifically. The string cmd, cmd.exe. And then you can see there's a PowerShell one-liner at the bottom. But the script console is essentially what we want to use to get a shell. So let's see if we can find something related to Linux. Reverse. Let's see. So this is the script console. Once again, an example of a shell with Windows, it seems. We want something for Linux specifically. This looks more what I was thinking about. So let's try something like this. And yeah, pretty much just have a listener and then run a script. The page is still responsive, that's very good. So that's the right IP. So I'm just following the guide, right? They broke it up with lines like so. And then let's do 443. Now we have a listener. It's me. Think this looks fine. Let's try running it. I think the IP is correct. Yeah, it is. We can try something like this, but I think that's a false. Just a bit of pivoting, confusing me a bit. I think it should be the just the normal IP of ours. Like some the quotes. The quote was copied wrong from the article. So this looks a lot more correct. It's small details like this can definitely make a huge difference when you copy from random articles. It's definitely looking better, and there we go. Just like that, just fixing the quotes, and boom, we are running as Jenkins. We are now... yeah. We now have a completely different file system, and we can run linpiece again. So let's, why not? It's a new setting, so we need to we need to just do it over again. Stabilize the shell. So it does not have Python 3. Does it have Python? It does have Python, so... yes, there we go. And now we do this as well. 24 rows. It's just nice to have a proper shell. There we go. Good stuff. So if I now grab linpiece, okay. But I can go right there. I just didn't have write permission in that folder. That's why I always like to go to temp. Linpiece t lin.like as per usual. So let us go over this output, and hopefully this will be a faster way. But this machine is put to hard, so that makes sense. So kernel exploits is again something that we only would like to do as a last resort. It's being a bit slow, so let me come back to you when it... So that took forever, so I also ran linenum, and we won't go through all of the output here, but essentially I couldn't... well, I guess we can. Essentially I couldn't find anything interesting, so I was suspecting that there were like a silly privesc. And I looked at the walkthrough because I got stuck, and because I didn't want to just manually look through the entire file system. So yeah, if we go to opt, there will be a silly little notes.txt. Let's see. So tat opt notes.txt, and then we have a lovely little root user right there. So this one is dying. That is fine, because this is what we need, so... Very good. 160. I suppose we can just do like so, internal THM with root. Yes. And there we go. We are root. Now, if you enjoy how I teach and you enjoy this video and you want to take the OSCP, then what are you doing not being in this course? It's over 15 hours long and it covers everything that you need. If you're only watching the videos on YouTube, you're missing out a lot because it's over 15 hours of content. You will get access to the VIP section on Discord where you can ask me any questions and you can study alongside all the other students in our course. Right now, you will also get access to this checklist right here, which will cover at least 95% plus of all the attacks and all the techniques that you need to know for every single section. Not only initial access, but AD, pivoting, Linux, and Windows privilege escalation. And the goal for you is to reach proficient or at least basic competence on all of them. That's one of the things. We also have this entire roadmap right here, where there's a bunch of action steps and a bunch of cheat sheets inside all of these hyperlinks that I can't show you in this video. But once you have completed all of them, you know for a fact that you will be ready to get into the OSCP exams and absolutely crush it. If that sounds interesting to you, to get all of this in 15-hour plus of video footage from someone who has OSCP, who explains different attacks and techniques and methodologies, it's going to be invaluable to you. Now, some people are confused with the offer. If you're interested in the notes, these are the notes that you will constantly see me use in the videos, right? They're pretty much recommended to go hand in hand with the course, and I use them constantly in the course itself, right? So I think you'll find it extremely useful. That's also why we have the third offer, which is the bundle, where you can buy both of these together for a discount. I hope that clarifies things. Best of luck on your OSCP journey. I really hope this will be massively useful to you. I'll see you in the next video.